Hi, Woods of Odin here, responding to Dumac the artist, America Meet the Real Enemy. This is my third take because I got off on tangents. First, Dumac, what is this? That's mighty white of you thing. I mean, I agree with you. I am pro-choice. And in fact, I'm an anarchist. So as you can imagine, I don't think the Oklahoma legislature has any business in any of this. Now then, coffee. Before you dog all Republicans and all conservatives, um, you may want to research Barry Goldwater. He was actually quoted in The God Delusion, Richard Dawkins' famous book. It's like you can't be a YouTube atheist if you haven't read it. But in all seriousness, Richard Dawkins looks upon him with high regard. Um, because Barry Goldwater fought against those within his party who would legislate based upon religion. Okay, a bit off topic. Now then, as I said, I'm pro-choice and I completely oppose this bill. In fact, I have an idea of what's going on here. In fact, I'm not going to be humble at all. I know what's going on here. What they are doing, those on the extreme right, are legislating a very common lie that many on the pro-choice side of the argument say. Now, I don't want to paint everyone who is pro-choice with a broad brush, or excuse me, pro-life with a broad brush. The issue of abortion is complex. Do we want to base, first of all, do we want to have any limits? And what about partial birth abortion where you actually are killing a baby? It's just not entirely out of the mom yet. Oh gosh, well, most people would say, well gosh, that's a bad thing. That should be illegal. Well, okay, well, do we want to set other limits? Do we want to base it upon when we think the baby might have developed some level of consciousness? The developing baby. Well, I guess in this case it would be a fetus. Do we want to base it on when the fetus can sense some sort of pain? Because basing it on, well, it's just life, well, because it's life, well, then if I wanted to remove this mole on my arm here, probably can't see that, then I couldn't because it's life, it's living tissue. So just because something is living tissue doesn't mean that it is a baby. And that gets me back to the original point here. A very common technique that those who are pro-choice will use is to say, but you're killing babies, the babies, the babies, the unborn babies. It's the babies. But they're not babies. And saying, well, it's a potential life, like you could be killing the next Einstein or something. Well, there's a little something to that, but it's like saying, well, you can't use that lumber for firewood because it's a potential house. I mean, what is potential? I mean, if you take that argument to its logical end, it's kind of, it gets pretty ridiculous. Let's not stop a child from throwing shit all over the classroom and keeping other people from learning because it's potentially a creative work of art, and if you just let it happen for 2 hours, it might turn out to be a spectacular work of abstract art. Yeah, there you go. So, but what they're doing is saying, oh, that the woman who wants an abortion has to look at an ultrasound. Well, she technically doesn't have to look at it, but she probably will, because she is going to see that there are little arms developing and little legs developing, and that looks like a baby. And yeah, so basically it's a really, really, really roundabout way of, one, not only controlling the doctor's speech, saying, well, you have to show this. You have to display it. But it's saying the woman has to have this idea communicated to her. But you're going to kill a baby. Lie. It's not a baby yet. Now, the issue of abortion is extremely nuanced and it's very complex. And, we say, oh, well, where does, the question of where does life begin, I mean, it's kind of pointless, because, as I said, if you're going to not kill something because it's life, then you're never going to remove moles or cysts or tumors. But yeah, there's very complicated questions as far as when do we recognize even a potential person as something that deserves rights, or something that deserves some sort of regard. Is it when it feels pain? Is it when it feels somewhat conscious? Is it when is it when it starts looking like a human? When is it? And when does, if ever, the right of the mother to control what happens to her body become trumped by this developing life that's inside her? And some people would say, well, never. But then again, I bring back the issue of partial birth abortion. Is there a difference between that and infanticide? But, okay, so there's my opinion about this ridiculous, stupid law. And I understand your anger, because all as it is a weird, petty, roundabout way of saying, oh, but the woman has to hear or see, in this case, she's killing a baby. It's the babies. You're killing babies. Okay. So I'm going to sit here for a minute so YouTube does not cut me off.